All right, we're back.
We are back. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Upstream. I have noise canceling headphones. Do you know about these things? You heard about this new technology?
Noise?
Yeah, but they also make noise, which is stupid. Like, who tells me what noise I want or don't want?
If you can only hear one sound from your headphones, it cancels out all the noise, so I guess that counts.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fair. Okay. Anyway, we are some nobodies. My name is Zach, and this is Dylan over here to my left or right, depending on how you're watching this. And we are content creators. We are a bunch of weird people that get together to just make up ideas that we think are funny. We call the show Talking Upstream because what we're trying to do is talk ourselves up to a streaming service, such as Paramount Plus, where they have all the weird Star Trek stuff, or Roku, where they have...
I don't know. Roku has an original streaming service?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Jeez.
They also, Roku just bought Quibi, so they're going to pop out some like short formats. So
I also make bad decisions with my money. We have that in common.
That's true. Yeah, it's like one time you had that extra $5 billion hanging on. You're like, I should probably buy like a streaming service. Anyway, we don't do this alone. We have a bunch of people. If you heard any of our shows like Silicon Angels, we have a roster of friends that come and help us out. If you've seen our Real Boys, we work with a bunch of other people. But on Talking Upstream, we have some creative guests that really help us and teach us how to make other shows. So, Dylan, my friend.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm okay. It's a weird week. Yeah. It's always a weird week nowadays. Everything seems to be just in flux. So
yeah, it's always kind of weird. And like, should it get back to normal? What's normal?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah. It might have been a week. I have no idea. I'm living in some weird limbo world where like, sometimes it snows, sometimes it's beautiful.
I feel you.
But we have a great guest today. Do you want to pretty please introduce our guest for the week?
Yeah, so this week we are joined by author Tiffany Mosher. She'll correct me when she comes up, just like everybody does. Mosher, I had it right the first time. She's a volunteer. And kind of a all around just good person. I'm gonna say that right now. But I'm gonna let her introduce the contents of her work right now. Let's bring her on. Hello,
hi guys. I forgot my noise canceling headphones. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Don't wear them. They freak everybody out.
How are you?
Doing great. Now, Tiffany Mosher, right? Mosher? Yeah.
Mosher.
See, I told you, Dylan. That's great.
I didn't get it right on either of the 3 times I tried it.
So Tiffany is, she's an author. She wrote an amazing book that I'm reading right now. It's called Beauty Beyond the Threshold. Now, Tiffany, do you want to tell people who's watching or listening what this book is about?
Sure. It's a memoir. It's about my personal story about how I worked through and overcame depression and anxiety through pushing myself out of my comfort zone and traveling solo to volunteer in disaster response projects internationally. So I use that as a kind of a cool, unique way to find and discover myself when I felt kind of lost and without purpose in life.
No, it's amazing. And like I was telling Dylan before we recorded, like I'm plowing through this book. It's a really impressive book. To have like a book that's solely based on someone struggling with themselves on how to be a good person and what that actually means. It's a really impressive feat. And I'm surprised that you didn't just turn it into a podcast like me and Dylan would have. Yeah. But no. So when starting the process, like what was it about this book that made you want to write it?
I had for years struggled with depression for many years, and as I started to travel and volunteer and gradually, my mindset shifted and I was becoming more confident and my self-esteem was increasing, naturally the people around me noticed this change in a good way. So every time I would come back from these trips from Puerto Rico or North Carolina, Nepal, Mexico, they would say, wow, like you're so inspiring. Look at the good that these things are doing for you. Like you should tell more people about this because this is really cool. And I thought to myself, I don't know if writing a book is, if I can do that, that's way out of my comfort zone, way. Because for me, academic writing came so much easier. I was in the middle of getting my master's degree. That I can do research all day, but creative writing, it was scary. But I found through the process, I decided this is something I want to help inspire people because I know for so long I felt I was alone in my struggles. And I realize now that I'm not. So if I can help someone else understand that and give kind of a cool, unique way to help them come through that, why not? And so I decided to put pen to paper and found out through the process that I do have a creative writer in me. I just didn't know she was there. So that was a really cool part of it.
So when you decided that you were going to write a novel or write a book, there are a lot of different ways that you could go about this, a lot of different storytelling techniques. What was it about like this specific story that you're like, this is where it needs to be? Because when I talked to you before, now I've met you on a different show, Talk Creative, with Maria Daniels, and you mentioned there was some things that you decided to not put in the book. So do you want to talk a bit about the things that you like felt were important for the main story?
When I first started writing this book, I had no idea what direction it was going to go in because I didn't even know what I was doing. I felt like everything I thought would sound cool, like putting it all in the present tense and everybody follows along with me in the journey. And then I was like, nope, that doesn't work because it was all in the past. And I was really discouraged for a minute because I was just like, I just don't know how this is going to work. But I also realized, it's okay to write things out of order because the book follows my journey, from years ago to the present. But I wrote it basically from the present backwards. And that's how I was able to kind of find the way, the direction, the flow that felt right by putting it in the past tense, but giving my thoughts in the present. So you're kind of on the journey with me, but knowing that it was something that happened in the past, if that makes sense. And then in writing, I had different parts of the book that, I wanted to include, but then I took out, part of that being raising an autistic child and just more of my early life leading up to my depression times. But I felt like they didn't fit and flow well with the theme of the book. I felt like possibly writing about my journey as a parent of a child with special needs could be something that could come a little bit later in a different context, because this book was about my personal journey and her autism did not contribute to my depression, if that makes sense. It wasn't anything that, I was just being a mom. I was just doing what moms do. And I felt like it just didn't flow well, and it wasn't something that was meant to be in this particular book. But it was fun to write. As I went through it, I learned, like this is a lot more fun and easier than I thought. And there were parts that were really hard to write. Revisiting the depression was very difficult, but I found ways to do that and to dig out the emotions that I had been avoiding for so long by listening to music that I used to listen to back then on repeat. And that allowed me to kind of feel more. So it was really fun process.
So, I mean, you've mentioned just like kind of a research background. What kind of do you find any major differences you really had to conquer to sit down and write something creative, even if it was based on real life? Like, do you have any sort of ritual that you went through to kind of get yourself in the mood for it?
Yeah, it was really funny because my first draft was like absolute crap. It was not really good. And the reason why was because with being a matter-of-fact academic writer, I was, very matter-of-fact in my writing. So when it come to my travels, like I went here, I did this, this was great. And my editor was like, no. You've got to give us you've got to use your five senses. You need to place us where you were. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? Is the sun shining? Do you feel the warmth in your skin? All these things matter. And I was like, oh, you know what? You're right. When I've read other books, that's true. And so how I would dive into that, because it wasn't as natural for me, was, because I was based on travel, I had a lot of pictures. So I would go back and look at the pictures and write about that. Or I would listen to music, something that reminded me of that time, and get myself into the mindset. I had to use other aids versus just, I had to use those visual aids and auditory aids to really help me get out of that academic mindset. And I noticed as a lot when I would sit down to write, the academic came so much easier, and I would start writing that way, and then I'd have to turn that switch off and let the thoughts flow. But then I also noticed that when I was doing my master's thesis, I was making it creative, and then I had to turn, to do them both at the same time was a lot of work. But you know what? I did it, and that's all that matters.
So when you decided, okay, I'm going to put all of these things into a book, right? Did you do any research on how to write a book, or did you just start plotting out your journey? What was the conception of this has to be a book? Do you want to talk on your process of actually putting it into a book?
Sure. So I did it through a program called the Creators Institute, which is really, really great because it helps people like me who have the thought or the desire to write a book, but we have absolutely no idea what the heck we're doing. So what we do is we sit down with kind of run like a college course, but it's not, you're not paying to go to a school, but they helped us kind of along the way with showing us what second-time authors wish they knew the first time around. So it was a lot about, content creation, a lot about story structure, a lot of the different types of stories out there, where you have your villain and this, or you have the, overcoming something really hard with the happy ending or the sad ending. There's all these different things. And I got very overwhelmed by all of that. I was like, I don't know how my personal story fits into all of this. So I took kind of different ideas because I don't have a villain. I have the overcoming hard thing, but I didn't have all this outside research to do because it was my story. It wasn't making up characters. It wasn't fiction. So I basically just started writing, and I just wrote about the first thing that came to mind, which for me, I had just got back from Nepal. So I was like, Nepal's fresh in my mind. I'm just going to talk about Nepal. And I just wrote very matter of fact. But as I started to write and to think, what are people going to really want to read about? Then I thought about the different things that I did and the different feelings I was experiencing, and make those into a really cool, unique story, and then tried to add some humor in there because normally I don't think I'm that funny. So I tried as hard as I could, and luckily I've heard on the backside everybody said that they thought it was parts of it were really funny. So that worked out good. I learned a lot about myself in the process, but it's just a lot of, you don't have to write the book from page 1, chapter 1 all the way through. Take bits and pieces, write about what feels comfortable at the time, what feels natural, and then go from there.
A big underlying through plot of your book is helping people versus the perspective of other people's lives and how they live versus how we live here. What was one of those two you think more important to your journey? Was it the helping people, or was it just, wow, some people really, really have it bad?
I think it's a little bit of both. What I learned throughout that process was the main lesson of, wow, Tiffany, you take so much in your life for granted. And I had to learn that harsh lesson by going somewhere and seeing these people's lives have been completely uprooted by a hurricane, earthquake, what have you, and they have absolutely nothing. They've even lost, in some cases, their family members or friends, and yet they're resilient. They're they're hopeful. They have, smiles on their faces when they don't have hardly anything at all. And I'm thinking to myself, here I feel so inconvenienced with all of my amenities that I have here, and yet they have nothing, but they're happy and full of life, and they're just happy to be alive. And it really taught me a lot about perspective of seeing the good in everything. And so through their resilience, I learned how to be resilient. And that was a really beautiful thing about it.
A lot of people talk about when they are witnessing something that is not very pretty, like third world countries or people going through different, natural disasters. But you can always find people that have that story of the one thing they found that is just beautiful in a disaster. If you had to look back on your experiences, what was the one thing that stood out as like, this is still beautiful? This is still the world.
Yes. Aside from that resilience that I found everywhere, it's that you have to see the perspective of what you're doing. So yes, the area there's so many people that need help. There's houses for miles and miles and miles that are destroyed, thousands of schools destroyed, as in the case of Nepal. But the mindset of, I may not be changing everyone's life for the better. I can't help everyone, but I can help save one life. And for me, the beauty in that was just in the interactions of the people I was able to help, sensing their gratitude, their smiles, they're so happy we were there, tears in their eyes. That's the beautiful thing, is that resilience that they have, just that hope. It doesn't come in anything material or physical to hold. It's their perspective that life is still beautiful despite this horrible tragedy that happened to me. And that's something that I learned to take back with me. It's you have to find the good in everything, no matter what.
So if we can get back to your book for a second, when you had to do a little more research to learn how to, write, I guess, a book, and to make sure that it flows properly, it reads well, and is entertaining. And I will say it's very entertaining. It reads very fast. It is funny. You are a funny person. The way you write is actually very entertaining. But now that you have these skills, have you started like using those to create other things? Are you now a creative person?
I think so. I find that I approach things in a more creative way, like my thoughts, in tackling social media and learning all of that. With my posts, I've learned to be a little more creative, to try, in outreaching to different people. And I've found like I've got all these ideas in my mind about future books I may want to write. And I feel sometimes overwhelmed by all these ideas, because it's like, I don't know if I can do them all, but I got to write these things down. And I find that it's beautiful to allow my thoughts to flow freely like that and creatively, because some really good things can happen. And something that I would like to do is to take the overall themes and concepts of my book that, basically it's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, how that can really help you. Volunteering and traveling may not be for everyone, but the concept of doing something a little bit different that terrifies you or intimidates you can help increase your confidence and self-esteem. I would like to take that and maybe create a book for young adults, because that's something that I wish I had learned at a young age. I think I didn't learn it till my late 30s. If I had learned that as a teenager, I could have applied that in my mid-20s when I was struggling so much. So I want to try to help that generation as well.
Speaking of leaving comfort zones, can you think of maybe the first time that you had really kind of stepped outside of yours, whether willingly or you had kind of had it like pushed on you?
It had to have been when I started learning how to play the guitar. So I was a musician my entire life. I played the piano and the clarinet and the alto sax in high school and all of that. But the guitar was on my bucket list. It was something that I always wanted to learn. And so a few years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to play this guitar. And I started taking lessons at a local music studio. And my teacher was like, okay, well, let's go into some songwriting and singing. And I was like, no, no, because I can't sing and I can't write songs. So this is the creative in me was not, I didn't know her yet. And he's like, Hannah, let's just try it. Let's just do it. Just start singing. And I was like, no. Because you see everybody out there, they're going to hear me. And that's not, we don't want that. They're going to laugh. The music store was full. And he's like, just make up something. And I ended up making up a song about a little purple guitar pick that was sitting on the stand in front of me. And it was absolutely ridiculous. My voice was shaking. He's like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I'm like, I'm like, I don't want to play louder. But I just decided, you know what? Fine. If I just do it, then he'll stop. He'll stop egging me on. But then I did it. And he was like, well, see, it wasn't that bad, because I let my voice go. I made up this ridiculous song and I laughed at the end. I thought it was funny. I felt ridiculous, but everybody out there was minding their own business. They didn't hear. If they heard, they didn't care. My teacher was smiling and I was like, oh, actually, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought. And I would go home and I would start playing the guitar and singing at home and letting my voice. And then gradually it was like, okay, well, maybe I'll put a video on Facebook and see how that gets received. Because if I put it out there for Facebook, then, oh my goodness, then everybody's going to see it. And when I did that, I got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people saying, wow, you have a beautiful voice. Now, I still don't think I have a great voice, but to get that positive feedback gave me confidence. It gave me self-esteem. And now, if I'm sitting around a campfire and I want to play the guitar, I feel comfortable to do it. I wouldn't have learned that lesson, though, if I hadn't I could have just said, absolutely not doing it. And I would have never learned that first step of, wow, your confidence increases when you do something you really are afraid to do. And now it's like, now I'll put videos on Facebook and I don't mind. I'm not going to go sing at an open mic night. I'm not that that ambitious, but it's nice to know that, and then gradually I just started doing more things that were a little scary, and everything turned out good after I did it. I was like, wow, like I feel empowered. I feel good. This feels good. And so I started chasing that adrenaline, and it's a good thing. When you do something that increases your confidence, self-esteem, keep doing it, because it's a good thing for you.
Would you say that kind of led or contributed to you volunteering, or was volunteering always something you had been interested in?
I had done a lot of volunteer work locally in the community already, but it gave me the courage to step way out of my comfort zone and travel by myself, because naturally I'm just a very introverted, shy person. And when I would travel, I would rely on the other people to do the talking. I'm the one that's the fly on the wall at the party eating food over in the corner. That's where I'm comfortable. If I'm traveling by myself, though, now I've got to do the talking. Now I've got to do the interactions. Oh, and let's throw construction work on the list, because, I don't even know how to use a power drill. So let's just do all that. And it was very frightening and scary, but these other little times where I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, I was like, it turned out good. It turned out good. I had to have faith in that unknown, that it was going to be a good thing in the end. That's why I named the book Beauty Beyond the Threshold. There is beauty, there is good when you step over that comfort zone threshold. You just have to have faith that it's there.
Now, I saw that your book had an Indiegogo campaign, and it looked like you had raised just over $6,000. Have you ever raised money on like an independent drive like that before, or is this kind of another example of stepping past that and doing something you've never done?
That was the first time. Yes, that was the first time. And that was, that was really, really nerve-wracking for me, because asking for money in general is a very uncomfortable thing for me to do. And at the beginning, I had so much support. People knew I was writing the book. They wanted to support me. They bought a pre-sale copy. They were all excited, but I was still needing to meet my goal. So I had to go slide in the DMs, which was really, really nerve-wracking and really just embarrassing almost. But, then people were like, okay, yeah, I'll support you. And then I ended up exceeding my goal and donating $1,000 to Aid Now, which is an organization that I'm on the board of here in Virginia Beach. So it worked out really, really well. It was just it was very nerve-wracking, but the good thing that came out of it was, I was able to raise the funds to self-publish my book, and a lot of people loved it. I got a lot of support. And that was, yeah, I don't want to ever do one of those again though.
Yeah.
It's tough, but
Yeah, we started doing one for the movie they were making, and it was like, oh, cool. This just seems like not that big of a thing. But then once you really start asking people for money, especially during like a pandemic or anything, you're like, but then to see people like actually believe in your art and believe in you was such a cool and inspiring thing. And yeah. So what is the next thing for Tiffany Mosher? What is the next comfort zone, the next threshold that she's got to get past?
public speaking.
All right.
I have an immense fear of public speaking, but doing things like this, the podcast and talking to new individuals and, doing Instagram lives with other authors and or having phone calls with fans of the book. And it's really cool. I'm having a lot of new interactions with people when normally I didn't want to interact with anybody because I was just happy just by myself. And that's really cool. So like my ultimate goal, my goodness, would be to like be at like TED Talk level, stand on that stage and inspire millions of people. But we got to start small, so it's like doing this is helpful. I got approached to do a webinar for an international language studies program in India. And there was like 100 students and faculty on the Zoom. And I was so nervous, but I did it and I felt good. So I was like, okay, that's a form of public speaking. Sure. So it's like I gradually will get to doing maybe standing in front of a small group of people and then expand it from there. But that's the thought of even standing in front of 10 people in person and talking is incredibly nerve-wracking. So that's the next big one.
So when the concept for for your story to get put into a book, when a story hits me, for some reason I see it as like a movie, sometimes as a comic book, because I guess you saw it as a book would make me think that you are a reader. Now, do you have any inspirations as far as other authors or things that you really dive into?
I love to read travel logs, which is, that's what kind of my book was. A lot about my travels. I like to read about other people's journeys, and memoirs are like my favorite thing to read. And there is this one book called The Yellow Envelope by Kim Dynan, which was kind of my inspiration. She and her boyfriend, like they just travel the world and do all these different things, and they're helping people along the way. And I was like, wow, that's so inspiring. Part of me feels like I haven't seen enough of the world quite yet. So I kind of see the world through the eyes of these authors through their books. And so it was really cool to get a chance to write a story like that when it's something that I've loved reading for so many years.
Now, are you trying to put together more like travel things so you can put together a second book, or is the second book more going to be based around things you've already experienced?
I would love to travel more. I don't know when I'll be able to travel more, but I would love to travel more. It's kind of hard to predict where I would want to go because, natural disasters are something you can't predict. And I feel like whenever I travel, I want to travel with a purpose. I enjoy traveling and volunteering. I sometimes get questioned, why that's not vacation. You're supposed to go and relax and sit on the beach and do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, and that's great. And I've done that and that's fun. And I love to do that. But there's something about seeing the world through a different lens. And that's what volunteering gives you the opportunity to do. But I don't know where I'll be traveling next. So for now, the main ideas that are coming to me as far as a book, the next book would be a fictional book geared towards young adults, but with the themes of the book, because mental health is something that's so important. We need to talk about these days, and especially for teens in social media age, and things are so just crazy right now and just in general. And I would love to be able to help in any way that I can inspire that age group as well.
Yeah, that's great. So when putting together your second book, is there some quick tips that you've learned while, you know, kind of fumbling around the first time that you will definitely put into motion on the second one?
Writing things down when you get the idea, when it pops in your head. When I was writing the first one, I made the mistake so many times, and I don't know why I didn't learn the first, second, third, seventh time, but I would come up with an idea. I would be driving, I would be sleeping, wake up in the middle of the night or something, and I would be like, oh, that sounds like a great sentence or a good quote I could slide in the book or something. And I'll get to it later. And then I would forget, or, I would go to write and I would be like, oh, what was that? And it would, so I've been, jotting things down. If I think of a cool name for a character, write it down right away. Or if I'm out somewhere, I'll put it in the little notes section on my phone. It's just something that, and I also learned there's a app called Otter AI, and it's a voice, it records your voice. And I found that maybe halfway through the writing process. And so it transcribes your voice to text. So if I was driving or if I was somewhere where I didn't have pen and paper or a computer, I would just talk into this voice app about the idea that I had for a paragraph or a story or something, and then it would translate it to text, and then I could just email it to myself. And it was a way to get those ideas down with, because for so long I was forgetting what I was wanting to do, so now I've learned, and it's just, write down whatever it is that comes to mind. You can always take stuff out later if you don't feel like you want to use it. But if it sounds cool, write it down, go with it. Just go with it. And that's what I've learned. That's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I agree. I try to text Dylan as much as possible whenever I have a stupid idea. But yeah, there's always those times at night. Yeah, there's those times at night where you're just laying in bed and you're like, this is such a good idea. I'm obviously going to remember this tomorrow. And you wake up and you're like, oh, I really wish that I had done that.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's awful. Okay, Miss Mosher, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We do have a show that we do. Dylan, Terry, do you happen to have any more questions for our new friend?
I think we covered a lot of what I was wondering about. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Sort of process and how you got there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important stuff.
All right. Excellent. Miss Mosher, do you want to tell people where they can find your book or where they can find anything, including cooking recipes or your new songs or whatever it is you're putting out?
Well, I do have a website, www.tiffanymosher.com. My book is available on Amazon in ebook and paperback and soon to be hardcover, if that's something that you like to have. One thing to keep in mind is that $1 from every paperback sale now and hardcover when it comes out will be donated to charity, because I wanted to give back to the organizations that helped me. And on Facebook, I guess I could start putting recipes or stuff like that. That would kind of add some creative content. Also on Instagram, I'm author Tiffany Mosher, Facebook Tiffany Mosher author.
Yep, and we'll put links to all that in the show notes under this. Okay, so let's get into what we do here. Okay, so Miss Mosher, what we do is we throw some original content at people that we like their creating process, and then we create something with them. And what we're going to do this week, let's see. I had this idea of like a family, like a parent and a child at a carnival, and they go to like a carnival fortune teller, and it turns out that they get a really weird fortune reading, and they find out that their lives are linked, and if one perishes, the other perishes. So the parent now is on a mission to live a very healthy, very honest, very good lifestyle, while this preteen is just a normal teenager with a Twitch account and is kind of doing some real crazy stuff because they want to live. And the parent is like, you don't understand. If you do this, I'll also die. So the idea of linkage of lives through a carnival fortune teller thing. So yeah, that's the weird. kind of like a new age Zoltar if he were on Twitch.
Okay.
God.
So that's my idea that I would like to explore, and I don't
It's
have.
It's like
a name.
Dragonheart, where the dragon and the kid have the same
Oh
heart.
yeah.
Except not dragons.
We'll call it Carnival Heart. I hope we don't call it that, but who knows?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's up to you.
All right, Dylan, what do you got, boy?
I like that.
So, I've been watching a lot of stuff with magic in it, and some of that involves like wishes. Like I've been, like Netflix has a new fantasy series up there. I've been reading again, so that's kind of nice. And I had this idea, just popped up. It's really simple, so it's not going to take much time. It's a support group for people who found genies and made bad wishes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what examples those bad wishes would be. But it's they go it's like a ring of chairs. They have someone who facilitates a meeting. It would probably, because Zach and I have talked about doing similar style podcasts to this, so it would be episodic, probably shorts, and it would be every week at the Bad Wish support group. My name is John, and a few months ago I made a wish that I could eat whatever I want, and now I have to be really careful about like maintaining a healthy diet or something like that. Stuff like that. It's a really bad example, but that's why we're doing this as a group effort.
Okay.
Yeah, so support group for bad wishes. I undersold that one, man.
No, that's okay. But a quick question though: if you did find a genie, what would your wish be? What would your first wish be?
Oh man.
Because a lot of people would say like, "Oh, I'd wish for infinite wishes," but I don't think I would do that. I think I'd wish for infinite genies.
I don't know, man. I know.
Infinite times 3. Then you can't mess up.
Probably that I could honestly just shapeshift, because then you don't have to worry about like getting hurt or anything like that. It's just no.
What
is it? I don't know.
Wish one is to be able to shapeshift.
It's practical. I'm a practical guy.
It's not that practical. Okay, Miss Mosher, you have the very weird challenge of choosing one of these two aggressively odd.
We really brought it this week, didn't we?
Wow.
Seriously, after 47 episodes, we are really coming with some weird stuff now. I love it. In the beginning, it was easy.
Love both of these ideas. So this is going to be really hard to choose because there's so many different things you can do with both. Because I feel like, the carnival fortune teller, linked lives, there's so many things you can do that would be really hysterical, I think, because the preteen, they're going to do just stupid stuff. Like, I mean, silly stuff. And then the parent, I'm thinking, has to be doing the same thing. So if they're doing those TikTok dance videos, the parents kind of doing the same thing. Is that kind of the concept?
I don't know if if like their bodies are linked, but if something happens to one, if something happens to one, the other one is going to get hurt. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Something's linked somewhere.
Something's linked somewhere. And then, the Bad Wish support group, that can go in so many ways. And so many, I almost have to say, I think that's the one to go with, because I feel like that one's the one that you can just take in so many cool directions that could be made into shorts. I love the carnival fortune teller thing. I would love to revisit that at a later time.
Man, Dylan is winning nonstop recently. Good job. Okay, so Tiffany Mosher, she has selected Dylan's very weird idea of a bad wish support group. So we're going to take the remaining amount of time and try to figure out whatever this concept is going to be. Before we do that, though, we do have some people we got to thank. Number one, Pod TV, thank you very much for having us on here every single week. You give me an opportunity to talk to my very best friend Dylan, because he will not respond to my phone calls, but he will always click on links that I sent him. So that's great. And I also get the amazing ability to meet awesome people and very inspiring people like Miss Tiffany Mosher. Please go check out her book, Beauty Beyond the Threshold. It is an amazing tale of how you you can actually just take yourself and make other people better. And it's very cool because prospectively, like you said, like even though some hard things are happening to individuals, somebody's life is way worse, and somebody could use the very little bit of talent or skill that you have in such an amazing way. So thank you so much for not only writing the book, but really just spending your time and understanding humans, which is really what we're trying to do. It's just understand people and, you know, have a good time with them. So other people we got to thank, though, real fast. We have Scott Curtis with Behind the Bits, great award-winning podcaster, interviews some amazing comedians. Congratulations to him, by the way. He is a grandpa, so he doesn't have any new episodes out this week, but please go check him out. You got Jeff Dwoskin in the Dwoskin Show, live from Detroit. Awesome dude. You got Mick Manhattan over at Scene Snobs. The guy believes in us and puts on a lot of our shows, which is great. More importantly, Sarah Tkachuk and Tanya Sheck, our East Coast friends, and listener app. If you're on Instagram and you are checking out Miss Tiffany Mosher's her food recipes and her new athletic regimens, then while you're there, go check out at the Greatest Podcast app. It is a really weird way of listening to podcasts because they put the words on the screen. They transcribe them for you, so in case you want to look at my jokes instead of listening to my stupid slurred speech, that is the best place to do that. Okay, so Dylan Terry,
Yeah.
a support group for bad. Is it only genie wishes? Is that what it is, or just bad wishes in general? Because in the magic realm, as you know, there are a lot of ways you can get wishes. You could have leprechaun wishes. You can get just maybe tooth fairy wishes. I'm not sure if that's a real...
Shooting stars.
Shooting stars give you a wish. Yeah. So is this specifically because of support groups and how sectioned off they are? Is this specifically for bad genies or just bad wishes?
Yeah, let's make it for bad wishes. I think that gives us the option of having some real potentially goofy stuff that isn't limited to a single genre, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because you can have like the girl that wishes on a star because that's such a girly thing to do, but her wish is this, or the manly guy who makes a wish on, I don't know, the water fountain. I don't throwing the penny in the fountain, things like that. So it's like it would make it really cool and diverse.
I love it. Okay, so the one thing that is consistent when it comes to support groups is the person in charge of that support group. So I guess we got to figure out who that person is, because that is leading the tone for all of this. So I'm going to assume, like most support groups, this is going to be in the basement of a church on like a Wednesday or some kind of town hall or something, right? A library.
Yeah, might as well just recycle all of our unpublished prior ideas.
Where else are support groups?
Yes. No, that's fair. VFW Hall.
A rundown Little Caesars and a strip mall.
Yeah, Cece's Pizza.
Yeah, food. That would make it cool.
All right. So it's inside of a pizzeria. It's gonna be in the back of the back room of a pizzeria, just for food and visual aesthetics.
Yeah.
Now, Dylan, who do you think is running this place?
So
not the pizzeria, the support group.
Right. We're not talking about Tony. No, it's either someone who sincerely wants to help, or someone who made a bad wish themselves and got stuck doing this. And you find that out partway through where it's like, what do you mean you don't want to help us? What do you mean you're here because you made a bad wish? And he goes, well, what else was I going to do?
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe?
Yeah, I say we merge those two. They want to help because they did have a bad wish. All right, Tiffany, what is a bad wish that somebody would think to wish for first, and then turns out it is not a good wish? Because I think some people would say oh god,
they wish the ability to fly, and you obviously it turns out bad. They end up crashing into something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a good one, because a lot of people would think to fly first, but what are the dynamics of flight? Like, how do you work it? So I'm into that. Like, if somebody's like, I want to be able to fly, and they just hover. And like,
I think it would have to be, what do you need to be able to fly? I mean, you can make it really goofy, like, okay, yeah, I asked to be able to fly, but then I've got these wings now attached to me and they're awkward and crazy and I don't know what to do. And then it just turns out really bad, because now you just look silly, everybody's staring, you're trying to navigate. Or is it like a superhero, like, Iron Man could just pick up and go? But I think, necessarily what's reality, where you're gonna, if it's like normal people that are trying to just make wishes on just random everyday things like a penny in a fountain or a star, that's normal. So, if you ask I wish I could fly, all of a sudden, crap, I've got these wings, I've got feathers coming out of my sweater, I'm trying to hide them, what do I do? And then you've got to navigate trying to fly wherever you got to go, and you're tired, you don't know the directions. There's a lot of things that could go. How do you land? There's a lot of things that can go wrong.
You don't think of the practicality of it, so it's just really cold because you fly, like, higher up you go, it's really cold.
Yeah.
Or like you run into bugs, you don't have a windshield.
Yeah. Or you just get turned into a bird. You're like, oh, well, now I'm a bird.
Yeah.
I can fly, but I'm no longer a human. Okay, so we have this person that made a bad wish, and they wish they could fly, which gave them wings and hollow bones. So because obviously the dynamics of just a human having wings would not allow them to fly anyway. So they now have hollow bones and they have wings, and they are upset with life because of a very poor wish that they made in a water fountain.
I mean, you could even take it a step further. It's like they take on like the, you want to fly. So they're kind of transforming into this, they're getting bird-like features. So they're just trying to crave worms as food. Like they're trying to, things that birds would naturally do. Wake up at the, crack of dawn, and normally they're a night owl. They want to sleep in, and now they're awake before the sunrise, just like buzzing with energy. Like, what the heck is this? Like, I'm really, you know what I mean? It's kind of something that's
I like turning into a night owl and then constantly like horking up those little pellets. Don't owls only just
yeah.
Okay, so we have it is ran by a person that wished to fly and is now slowly turning into a bird, which I think is very, very funny. And what are some other bad wishes that we could put them into this support group?
The classic one I think of is someone wishes for a whole bunch of money and it gets teleported and like it gets taken from a bank illegally to them.
Yeah.
So maybe they have to they get to video chat in from their prison cell, and it's like, yeah, I told them it was from a genie, and they told me that whether it was magic or not, I still wasn't allowed to rob the bank.
Yeah. All right. So a video chat from prison. I like that because somebody wished for money.
You can do somebody wishing to be invisible, because you got people that want to spy on their ex or, or something like that. And it can go,
I also think somebody might wish to have a family member back from the dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what if somebody had like a wish, like you have one wish, like what would you wish for? They'd be like, oh, I really just want to see my grandfather again, and then there's this zombie that knocks on the door. So now he's just gotta like just always just this dead person
haunting you constantly. Constantly haunting you.
Or it's just the body in the casket and they're like, wait, where is it? Well, I mean, you didn't ask for them to be here, so they have to like go dig him up.
Yeah, like, he's alive.
Yeah.
Or it's this person has some sort of grudge. I mean, grandpa might not have a grudge against you, but imagine if you brought back like, someone who you felt like, just, and they're just like, back then you really made me mad.
Yeah.
And I have not been able to let that go in the afterlife. And now I'm gonna make you pay.
I like that. Like, oh, I wish I could talk to my grandfather, and he's like real bad.
Or grandpa, not the grudge thing. Grandpa was so happy and just bubbly on Earth, but over on the other side, they're just people are making him cranky. He's not happy over there, and so he brought that crankiness back, and he is letting you know how bad it is on the other side, or something like that.
No, I love it. Okay, let's start working on the structure of what this is going to be. Dylan, earlier you said that you like it to be maybe like shorts. Now, did you see it as like like filmed, like a television short with actors? Did you see it as like a cartoony kind of a short? What were you seeing this as?
I could see it being visual in some way, but I think this would also benefit from being just an audio format. Because I don't know if visual gags would be like the really strong selling point to this. I mean, obviously turning into a bird and stuff, but I think the humor comes from how these wishes have affected these people.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's just go down the aspect of making this into an audio format. Now, audio formats we have a little bit of experience in, and there's different ways of doing that. You obviously have to make this a show, you would need to have a reason that this audio recording exists. Right. So it either is just in that room and nobody knows about it and you're just overhearing it, or it is part of the story. Which one do you think is Tiffany? Have you ever seen a show where I guess like The Office, where there is a camera that's in there and they do speak to the camera and there's a reason, whereas other shows like ER, you don't know there's a camera, you just watch the thing. So which one do you think makes more sense for a comedic thing like this?
I love the documentary feel, like The Office, because I think it's like you can just have, because you can always have like people, if they know the cameras are there and they're sitting around and they're listening to this story and they're just like, look at the camera like, really? You wished for that? Like, the faces are what really makes, like, especially in The Office, like that's what I'm thinking. I love that show, so it's like some of that, the facial expressions of, are they serious? Like, even though they're all there in normally support groups, we're all supporting each other. Sometimes you hear things that are just like, huh? And they're just going to kind of be taken aback by some of the things they hear. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I like that. So let's do this as like a documentary style, fake documentary style, where they know that they're being recorded and they're okay with this for some reason, right? That's fine.
Or it's if it's just audio, sorry to interrupt, but if it's just audio that we're hearing and we're not seeing, is that what I'm guessing? We're not seeing it on a screen, we're hearing it. So it could be that it's a documentary, but they have like the documentary feel where they have the one-on-one interviews with other people aside from everyone else. So you can hear their like different perspectives of, like, you know what I mean? That kind of
we get some POV stuff.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so our main person, who is this a person that got a wish from a fountain and wished to fly and sprouted out wings and has hollow bones and is slowly turning into a bird to make sure that flight is possible. Now, somehow they hooked up with somebody that's making a documentary on this, and we have some other people in here, like a person who wished for their deceased relative to be seen and now is back from the dead. We have somebody who wanted to be invisible and they're having aggressive hard times with that. We also have somebody that wished for a lot of money, and because of that, they inadvertently robbed a bank and now they're in prison. Let's say that these are, what would you say, like 5 to 8 minute things? Is that what you're thinking, Dylan?
Yeah, I don't see this as being very long. It's just like, we found this really interesting support group, so we're just here to get people's stories. And it's just their little testimonials intercut with like talking head moments. Yeah.
I like that. So it'll be a little bit of the full group put together and then talking about a concept. And then we probably pair off with one person and then have a little bit of an interview with that person, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. How many episodes do you think this... Like what kind of thing? Because if we're looking like 5 to 8 minutes, we probably need to go over at least 10 to 12 to 16 people, right?
I think if we can do one episode per like bad wish or something like that, we can do as many as we like. I mean, 10. I don't know if going into it with like a prescribed number is necessary at this point, but
yeah. Well, it seems to me that if this is a documentary style, the way most fake documentary things work is there's like a reason for the episode, and then you talk to a person that has to do with that episode. Yeah. So we have to go through a couple things that people would normally go through in support groups, and then kind of break them off into the individuals. So what are some of our, I guess we should go over some of our just bad wishes, just to kind of accumulate a bunch of things to see what can go wrong here. So what are some other bad wishes that you think people can, because kids probably wish for the weirdest stuff, right? So like if you give a kid like a coin, it's like, hey, go make a wish. And the kid's like, I wish for the biggest pizza on the planet.
All the candy. Yeah.
Yeah. All the candy in the world. Oh, that'd be crazy. If you ask for all the candy in the world.
They're a minor celebrity because everybody remembers when all of the candy got teleported to the middle of Indiana or something.
Oh yeah.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fort Wayne, Indiana got flooded by candy one day, like last year, because some kid wished for it.
When I was a kid, I wished to be Kevin Smith. I remember one time, like, I just wish I was Kevin Smith. I want that life. That'd be weird to be able to like just to wish and like take over somebody's life.
No, you become so there are two of him now.
Oh, there's. I like that. What would you think is a celebrity that somebody would wish to be?
We should make it obtainable. You know, every show has that like C-B tier celebrity that shows up just because they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
I wonder what. Oh, who was the actor? I wonder what Ben Savage is doing nowadays from Boy Meets World.
After Girl Meets World, nothing.
Oh, they did do. It made such an impact that I completely forgot that existed.
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, I know.
No, I like that because I love Boy Meets World, and at one point I probably would have asked at least to be like Eric Matthews.
No, really?
Dude, he's the cool brother.
I've seen your pictures from that era. You've got kind of the Boy Meets World hair.
Hey, that's my life.
I used to watch TGIF every Friday night.
Oh yeah,
you got to. Tiffany, can you think back to maybe some weird wishes that you had as a child?
I am trying to think.
Like I'm sure there's musicians out there that wish that they wrote like a Beatles song, you know, or like let's see, what are some other just weird wishes?
I know I wish that I was on a TV show. I know I wished that, you know, I wish I could be on a TV show, and I would just pretend. But that's kind of along the theme of what we were talking about, switching with being an actor.
Is that the reason that the film crew is here? Because they wish to be on a TV show, and so now this film crew is doing a study of this focus group.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh,
yeah,
twist.
That's cool. It's like all of a sudden, apparently this is for Netflix. I didn't realize this, but there's a signed contract.
Yeah, we have your signature here, and the facilitator is like, I do remember signing. Oh crap, I do remember signing that. That's weird. That's weird.
Wow, I do have that memory. Huh.
I did wish to go to outer space. I wanted to be an astronaut. Like that was so I would like dream like, you know, I wish I could go to the moon, you know? So it's like.
I like that. All right, Dylan, if you wish to go to outer space, how do you think that wish would work? Would you be in like a spacesuit?
I could see there are a few ways, and it depends on how malicious the like wish granter is. You're immediately teleported to like 200 miles up. No protection.
Yeah, like you're just blinking, you're on the moon.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are like put on a space station, or like you know you have the requisite kind of secondary wishes granted where you have a spacesuit and the knowledge to do it, or nothing happens because Earth is in space. But if you say like outer space, well, right? No,
I know.
But because outer space is different than what we are here.
I like the idea of maybe just you get popped into like a space station. And you don't have any knowledge of what to do up there or any equipment. You're just there and you're living there.
And you're floating.
Yeah.
And it's like, and everybody, don't touch that button. Don't touch that. Don't touch it. You stay over there. But I can't because they're floating, you know, and they're just like, yeah.
They weren't accounting supplies for an extra person, so now they're stuck with someone who has no idea what they're supposed to do in space. And they're like, hey, great. We got to babysit this person for another 6 months.
Yeah, and there's no way for them to get back home.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we like the person who's running the support group to still be the bird person, or would it be better for them to be the one who wished to be famous and now they just have this documentary following them everywhere?
So all of the people come to this support group because they hear this famous person is holding it,
There you go.
and and this famous person is actually the one who wished they could be the famous person. So they're attracted to it because so and so is, I remember that was an actor in my favorite show, and then it's for someone like me that made a bad wish. Cool, and that could be it.
I love it.
Cool.
Okay, so they find out that there's this famous person that is running a support group for bad wishes, and they are an exact replica of Ben Savage from Boy Meets World. That'd be crazy if you wish to be somebody famous and then you just were another copy of them, and like you have like a birth certificate, you have their fingerprints. That'd be weird. Okay, so we have all this going on, and then because of this, that's what forces the show to happen. And we're going to go over a couple like bigger concepts each week or whatever, each episode, and then kind of pair off into how that affects the individual people, right? Is that what you're thinking, Dylan?
I think so. I don't think it needs to be. They're not supposed to be super long. So yeah, it's like, all right. So for this set, this week, who wants to go first? And then the episode is just that one person's testimonial, and then you clump 5 or 6 of them together. You have an hour-long kind of like collection. Yeah,
I like that. Okay, so the person that is invisible, they wish to be invisible, and now they're going through the struggles of being invisible. What do you think are like the biggest struggles of just being invisible?
Like you're just not seen or heard. So you're trying to, well, you're not seen. So if you need to be somewhere, you have this meeting at work that you have to present, and they can't see you, and it's like the fate of the company is lying on your shoulders, millions of dollars on the line, or something like that, like lives can be at stake or something really, really just outrageous, and you are invisible, and you're wanting to be there, or I mean, that's kind of too real worldish, but I'm trying to think of something kind of unique.
Well, I actually kind of like the more real world things where it's like, say it's like, look, I did all my reports and I have it all here, and everyone's like, it's just floating paper. And they go, look, Scott, you know that I'm right here. I wish to become invisible. Just get over it. And you go, why are these markers floating everywhere? And like, you're just obviously talking to them.
Yeah,
I like having real world problems with really crazy wishes. So
in that someone tries to sit on an empty chair and they wind up trying, like, almost sit on the guy's lap. It's like, well, hey, I'm here. I'm invisible. It's like, well, put a blanket down or something.
It's like, well, this is always my seat. I sit here. And it's like, well, I didn't know you were here today. I guess you did.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. But it's like they, they start seeing things flying around, and everybody freaks out because, when you see something actually flying, you think ghost, oh my goodness. And it's got to be something just big though. This is a huge, huge thing that if it doesn't get executed properly, then, whatever that is. And that's something that happens in corporate America all the time, so
it'd be funny if, like, say our ex-president got a chance to get a wish, and he's like, I just wish to be invisible. It's like, oh god, here we go. Okay, so other ones that we have, let's see if I like the one about the person who wished to see like their past relative as well. So Dylan, is there any other one that you want to go over first? Any more bad wishes?
So, we've got about 10 to 12 here. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So what do you want to work on next as far as, do you want to give anybody any kind of story arcs? Tiffany, when writing your book, obviously a book has to have, a flow. It's got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. When putting your book together, was it hard to kind of figure out where like those points were in your story?
Not necessarily for me, because being a memoir, it was my life, and so it had to follow a timeline, and so it was easy for me to place it in the correct timeline. So I think when applying to this, I think, I would think that you would have to make it flow really well, as far as, you've got to bring everybody there for a reason, so that the first bit, it's going to be, wow, this actor, Ben Savage, like, but then the very big plot twist at the end is that he's the one with the bad wish all along.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
going to be your big, whoa, what, mind blown moment. So it was probably trying to pepper in the different stories, how they flow. Would be kind of neat to see if they could, one could kind of integrate into the other.
Yeah.
Maybe,
One thing that we do talk about with a lot of the creatives on here is the idea of like when you're building a world that is a little fantastic, like a world where wishes exist or whatever, you have to have the idea of like the window character, which is the person that is the most relatable to the reader or the viewer, to have them explain the rules to you. Do you think that in a story like this, that's important? Or do you think that you could just kind of pop into this story and just have the listener or the reader or the viewer understand what's happening?
I think having that person would be interesting to have, because you can kind of, if you're kind of seeing it through their perspective, because it is documentary type thing, so it could be maybe the documentary is focusing on them because they wish to be, one of our people is, we wish to be in a movie, right, or a TV show.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
person could be the one that your window keeper. So it's like you're kind of seeing it all unfold through their wish.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyway.
All right, so that's going to be our window character, and that's how we kind of learn a little bit of the rules of how this world works.
You constantly have that character just be like, you do the talking head cut to, and they're the first time, and they're just like, oh, I really didn't think this was going to be the style of TV show I was on. And then I see them get a little more comfortable with it as it goes forward.
Yeah, I like that. All right, Dylan, what's the next thing we got to kind of work on here? We have a good rogues gallery now. We have a rough premise of why this show exists. What are we going to work on?
I think just getting some comedy bits for what these people will talk about and how these wishes have affected their lives. Because I like the idea of having story arc in this in some way. I think that's kind of, and I think it's important on some level. But I think the main content of this is going to be the humor that comes from these everyday situations that are affected by this wish granting.
Yeah. How do we hop into this? What does episode 1 of this sound like?
I mean, we keep comparing it to The Office. I'm trying to think of what the first episode of The Office started off as, because I don't think the documentary crew introduced themselves in that. And it was only really later on that the crew themselves started showing up as characters, like in like the 5th season or something like that.
That's when it gets bad.
I stopped watching
Brian.
after Jim and Pam got married. I stopped watching after that. I was like, I'm not interested in the rest of these people. That's all I needed. And there was no way they were going to have that like fall apart. So I was like, the drama's lost. I think we have the point of view character, the window character, just kind of be like, you do the that thing where they're sitting in their car and they have that camera, and it's like, so I'm about to go to the first meeting of this thing. Flyer showed up on my door unexpectedly. I don't know how someone knew I was looking for this, but they look behind their car, and there's like a production van unloading equipment. And he goes, I think all these people existed before I made that wish. I hope my wish didn't just bring them into existence. Like, we can get into a little bit of the like weirdness of what happens to the
the main
things.
Yeah, the main person is the one who wished to be a celebrity, right? Is that what it is?
They wish to be on like a TV show or like, something like that.
So
the celebrity one is the host.
Yeah, I like that. And then the TV show that popped into existence is just about their life while having this bad wish.
Yeah.
I think that's
Or
very fun.
it could be like the person, their wish is to be on a TV show. That's their
Mhm.
wish. So it's like day one, it's like, oh, this is my TV
Mhm.
show. Here we go. Production told me we're going here. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to be on this TV show. This is so exciting. And then they get in there and, whoever he, she, whoever it is, and they sit down and they're like, wait a minute, what is this? Because there's a bird, there's this guy over here that's just, God, I don't know if his ghost is with him or what's going on, or, all these different people are just like in this melancholy. So, they get this sense of like, okay, this is maybe some sort of intervention or some sort of, what is this? I
Mhm.
don't know. And then once they hear about these bad wishes, it's just kind of like they get this. I think as the story goes on, it's humorous, but these people's lives are so affected that this person's like, did I really make the right decision wishing to be in a TV show like this? Because what the heck is going on here? It's kind of that feel, maybe.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that a lot. I think it's very funny if you wish to be on a TV show and then your TV show is a show about somebody who makes a bad wish.
You made your mistake. It's like this guy
Yeah.
made a mistake, and we're gonna follow him as he realizes it.
Yeah, and let's follow him
Yeah.
as he meets other people that made the same exact mistakes. I think that's really funny.
It's like a
Okay,
gradual progression of that mindset, like,
Mhm.
oh no, like
Yeah.
what's gonna get myself into? Because all I'm just hearing is all this crazy, and then the character themselves eventually finds out like that they did a bad, it's just constant bad wish after bad wish after bad wish.
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's very funny. Okay, Dylan. So he goes to this person and whomever they are. They go to the support group or the whatever, and they meet Ben Savage, and they go through this, right? And is every episode in this meeting just this person talking to somebody else in the meeting while the support group is going on?
I figured it would be someone has the spotlight and has to like explain their circumstances, and other people can cut in, but it's like Jerry's holding the contract now.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, metaphorically, Jerry's holding the contract now, so this is his time to talk. And I mean, everybody will have their spotlight, but I think each episode probably would focus on one person just to keep them as shorts and to keep them to keep the actual episode just kind of solid on a thematic level.
Now, do you want to give this main person do you want to give them some kind of arc at all, or is it just them showing up every single day or every single whatever to the support group, or are they actually going towards something?
We could give them an arc. An interesting one would be if they were the instrument of someone else's wish. Like, I'm thinking, the first thing that popped into my mind is that like it fosters some sort of relationship with someone in the group, and then they had made that wish, and he's like, and then you have that question of like, is this authentic or is this all a product of you wishing for it? And you're like, I think that's why we're here. I don't know if that's too much for this concept, for how we're kind of like.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way to give this person an arc, and the only thing I could think of is that if they find out that somebody had made a wish that negates wishes, and then they have to keep like trying to get to that or something. I'm not sure. What did you have?
I think there's just a search of a sense of belonging, of needing to find people like there's got to be other people out there that are in this same situation as me, and I don't want to feel so alone. That'll make it more human. Like I and I'm Ben Savage, so I know I'll attract people because I'm famous. But this was just like I don't know what to do with all of this. I don't know how to handle the results of so that kind of, while it's comedic in a sense, it'll give it that kind of more emotional tie that we as the viewers or listeners can relate to. Like, yeah, that would be hard, and you want to feel like that there's others out there that are struggling with the same things you are, even though they're in these wild and crazy ways. But it's that same overall, we're not alone in this type thing.
So because of the wish, they have been a little bit ostracized with society. So they find their own community inside this conglomerate of other bad wishers. Okay.
And
I'm into that.
That's the nice, wholesome feeling about it.
Yes.
They're, you know,
You need the
It
nice
feels
wholesome
good.
feelings.
Need
Yeah,
to
of
feel
course.
good.
I like that. Okay, so who are some other people that we're going to kind of go into how bad their wishes are?
So we were talking about episode count earlier, and I'm just going through all the ones we listed, and we have 10, including the host who can have his own episode
Mhm.
and the point of view character. So we can do 10 episodes and just kind of assign each episode one of these wishes.
I love it.
We can either try to do a progression where it kind of logically makes sense, or we can try and like
My studio is freaking out.
your office background, your office, it's not just a background, your actual 3-dimensional space of an office is being weird.
That's weird. Yeah, don't look at that cloth.
Anyway, I figure we can either order the episodes in a way where they kind of logically follow into each other, or it can just be like whoever shows up, because we've got someone who turns into a bird, someone who teleports we have someone who teleports money and someone who teleports candy. So those are 2 related ones. We've got someone who's kind of turning into a bird-like thing and someone who might have zombified their loved one, which are kind of really, thematically similar. We have one invisible idea, and then so this is actually a funny relevant thing in like a role-playing game I've been playing. A friend of mine wished to be invisible, and it's like they applied too much science to it, and it's like, well, yeah, now the light doesn't hit your eyes right, so you can't see. It's like,
oh gosh.
So you can do like a really hard invisibility, and you can do a nuisance invisibility where it's just like, I'm here, and everybody get like jumps or something like that.
Yeah, and I guess also
I
the
like
invisibility is like, are you like see-through, not see-through, but like phase through? Like, can you just walk through walls invisible and you're just like a floating voice? Or because there's a lot.
We got 10 wishes, and not all of them are easy to link up with other ones, but we've got like 2 or 3 pairs.
Yeah,
we could probably nestle so like they kind of mirror each other. Like you start and then you bookend it with a different one.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into the one who wished for all the candy in the world.
Okay.
Right. What are the negative dynamics of that?
I mean, if we're doing it where it teleports all the candy in the world to their location, you're looking at like, I don't know what the world poundage in candy is.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining it's probably like a square mile or so, maybe like 3 feet deep.
So, Tiffany, if you wish for all the candy in the world, where would it show up?
On my front lawn.
Just right in your front lawn.
Yeah.
Just towered high in your front lawn, just full of candy, which means you're probably going to have like a bunch of like bugs everywhere. And
it's going to melt if it's hot out.
Or if it's
going to melt. Yeah.
All right. So this is kind of gross then. So the kid who wished for all the candy in the world, maybe a year ago or something, because I like some of these things having taken effect a while ago.
The cleanup efforts are still ongoing.
Yeah. And it turned into be its own bit of a natural disaster because like the sewers are clogged up with gum. You have just a absolute
Traffic
disaster.
has been stopped.
Yeah. Cars can't get through. The sugar has worn away like the concrete. Because I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, rodents. And
wildlife is showing up with diabetes, and it's like we've never seen such a high incidence of diabetes in rats before.
I love that. This person is very, very upset. They obviously have cavities. They probably have I don't know, onset early diabetes, but more than likely the community is just upset with them for causing this catastrophe instantly, right? Because it's tons. It's gotta be tons of candy.
Yeah. Just shows up on a random Tuesday.
All right. What are some other ones? We have the invisibility, the money one. So if you did ask for what is a money wish? You would ask for what, like $1 billion or You wouldn't ask for all the money, right? You would ask
I
for
think the typical is $1 million.
yeah.
I wish I
So
could have $1 million.
so you wish for $1 million, and all right. So the negative or the most realistic thing that would come with that is that it comes from somewhere. Now, Dylan, where is that somewhere that would do the most damage? Would it just be like the closest bank that happens to have that amount of cash, which kind of causes like a mini.
It could. I mean, yeah, it literally could just be like, all right, the bank amount we just took, whoop, and just transferred it directly into your account.
Yeah.
Or if you want them to be a less sympathetic character, because it's like we got someone teleporting candy, we've got someone teleporting money. It could be like, I wish that I had $1 in my bank account from every person in the world, and so that way it's harder to trace, and then they get caught on like tax evasion or something, and they're just a jerk.
Yeah. So I like that, or I like say
and it's like you're not as clever as you thought you were, man. Someone's gonna notice that.
Or you can do it like, okay, you wish for $1 million, and then all of a sudden, you see an envelope comes in your mailbox, and you open it up, and like, what's this? And here's the directions to your $1 million, but it's at this bank or these 3 banks. Use your assets wisely, and you have to figure out so that means breaking in, and that means end up going to jail, which was the original idea.
There is the same thing as the candy, right? Which is, say you wish for $1 million, so then it means just cash that is the closest in relation to you starts flying to you. So like if my neighbor happens to have $30 in cash and coins, it comes to me. So it's just like
coming to try to beat you up to get their money back.
Yeah.
They're following their own money to me, and they go, why is this happening? And I just have like just a bunch of coins and just crumpled dollar bills just come. I don't know.
That.
Dylan, what do you think is the best money wish here?
I really like it just pulling all just petty loose cash within a radius towards you.
Yeah.
I think that works, and I think it's like his excuse is like, I never meant to steal it. I just wanted the money. It's like, sir, whether it was magical or not, you still did it. Like,
yeah. And like a bunch of cops show up because everybody started calling the police on him. So he gets like multiple counts of just like petty larceny.
Yeah.
He's charged with like 10,000 counts of petty larceny.
Yeah. It's like you stole $27 from like 500 million people. Okay, cool. So we have that one. We have the candy. Now, okay, the bird. So this is something that somebody would easily do. I wish for the ability to fly. Now, they're obviously for a human to fly, they would need to be able to offset gravity, right? So, which means they would need to be able to fly. So, what do you think the best way is to become a bird? Or
I like your idea of them kind of like hybridizing it, like hollow bones, feathers, and wings, but they're still fundamentally like human shape, like humanoid. Yeah.
So I like that. Oh, go ahead.
Well, they're trying to hide. They got to try to cover up. They're noticing they're starting to grow feathers or these wings. So it's like, wearing a big coat to cover it up because you're like, what the heck's happening? I don't know what's happening. But like features start kind of changing and your appetite is slowly changing. It was like, it's not a quick progression. It's a very slow, awkward, and then you've got to like test how do I fly? So you're, it's like the baby bird, you're jumping, you're going like this and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you're, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. People are like, why do you have to eat worms then? They go, well, I need the most amount of protein for like lightweight. So that's just what it is. I can't help that.
Building a nest in their house, like just random, like crazy stuff. What in the heck is happening?
Yeah, I like that. There is that way, or there's the other way, which is just gravity stops working for you completely, and you're a normal person, no gravity. So you can fly, you can do everything. It's just gravity does not touch your body. So
aimlessly going everywhere.
The person
how to control it.
The person at the support group is turning into a part bird, and they're like, some guy in Sacramento wish he could fly, and gravity doesn't apply to him now. Like, why didn't that happen to me?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, he wished on a wishing well, you used a genie, and genies are kind of jerks, you know.
Oh yeah, I like that. The different style of wishes.
Mhm.
All right, that's a good concept though, because then we have to go through the different styles of wishes and if any would be positive versus negative. What are Dylan in your history of reading novels and
Sure.
lore? What are the most devious ways to get a wish?
Genie's the classic because genies are mean and they don't like being like chained up and stuff.
Mhm.
Then you've got, stars. Falling stars don't have perspective. Wishing wells take it literally. You can find a coin. You could do what else is there? Water fountain penny, which is generally pretty innocuous. Like that one tends to be pretty family friendly because that's what you do at like Disney World.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the method of fulfillment for that is just a bunch of guys in Disney suits show up and they just hand you them and they're like, here, your wish by Disney. Here you are.
Yeah. That's funny.
But Genie is definitely the most mean-spirited one, like traditionally.
Yeah, but how do you come across a genie these days?
An antique store.
Yeah.
Oh, man, there you go.
Found a lamp at an antique store.
Thrifting.
Thrifty. I mean,
I was literally just cleaning this thing off to sell on eBay. Oh, that's funny. Dylan, what do you think the last wish you theoretically would have made is? Like, just like in everyday life, you're like, I wish, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I've always had and we've done this story where it's like, I always wish that when I needed cash, I had the exact amount I needed in my pocket at that moment. It's just, it would eliminate so much stress and it would make things so much easier. And if it's not fulfilled maliciously, it would, be just a nice, just kind of like, all right, I'm set. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Pay with cash for everything.
Tiffany, what would you say is a wish that has no repercussions?
For me,
I mean, is there a wish that anybody could put out there that would have no repercussions?
No repercussions.
Like, there's no bad way to look at this.
Maybe a wish to be able to be like to be able to what's the word, like teleport somewhere else very quickly. So it's like you want to be so for me, if you were to ask me what my major wish would be right now, would be the ability to just snap my fingers and I could be 4 hours from here to where my son lives, so I can visit my son without having to drive 4 hours. I can just snap my fingers and be there. So it's like, cool. I feel like there's, if you need to be somewhere and you're running late, I mean, I won't feel like that would have bad repercussions,
Yeah. Okay, Dylan. Now give me a bad repercussion when it comes to teleporting. So I guess the first one that comes to my mind is swapping, right? Like, right. You could teleport there, but somebody has to take your spot, which means now there's a stranger in your house that used to live 4 hours away.
Oh, like it just swaps your location with the closest person to the destination.
Yeah. It's like, I want to be in France, and then somebody in France just inadvertently swaps places with you. That'd be kind of funny. But I do like the teleport thing. That's
pretty reasonable as far as like not going too dark goes.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, obviously, just teleporting, like only your body, like no belongings, no clothing, no foreign whatever.
Yeah,
like that sort of thing. It could be painful. Like it could just not feel nice. Like ugh.
Because I think
it just doesn't. You just get stuck in the
wall,
whatever. Yeah.
Because I guess there's a lot of people that if given the idea of a wish, they would think to themselves. I mean, some people would obviously ask for money, but I think there's some people that would have the monkey claw idea in their head and they go, I need to be clever about this. So I wonder what like the clever wishes are.
Being too specific could be its own form of being a drawback. Yeah.
Being too specific. Yeah, that's true. It's just too long. The genie's like, that's too long.
No.
You have a wish.
words.
Yeah, you have a wish for 5 words. Awesome. Okay, so if you want to see the progression of how this story is going to work out, whatever we're going to name this thing, you can always go to somenobodies.com and check out what me and Dylan and our friend Tiffany Mosher are going to do with the story. It might be an audio thing. It might be a visual thing. Who knows? We might just put on the back burner and work on something else for a little bit. I'm a big fan of this. I think this is a really funny story.
Yeah.
I like going through the weird downsides of trying to just make a wish, really. I think that's really funny. But more importantly, Tiffany, thank you so much for spending any of your time with us. We really, really appreciate it. The book, Beauty Beyond the Threshold, it's such a cool and interesting way to look at helping out people and the things you can get out of it. Real quick, do you want to tell people one last time where they can find any of your stuff?
Sure. So my website is www.tiffanymosher.com. You can also find the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. Any ways you can buy books, you can buy there online. And then on Instagram, I'm author Tiffany Mosher. And on Facebook, Tiffany Mosher author.
Yeah, check out this thing. Such a cool, interesting read, and what a way to like give back and also give something to yourself. So I'm very proud of you. Once I met you on our show, I was like, I cannot wait to have you on this show. I really wanted to make sure that you got a chance to explore your creative side and keep going, because I love your writing. I think the way that you write is very impersonal. It really gets like, it's almost like you're talking to me and telling me a story. So keep writing, keep doing some cool stuff, and we really appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And to all our friends out there, thank you guys for paying attention to us once more. As you know, I love attention, and anybody who gives me any, they're my friend. And Dylan is my absolute best friend. So Dylan, thank you very much for being my friend. I appreciate you. You are a great, great person, and you make my life better. So thank you for that. Pod TV, thank you very much for having us on here and giving us a chance to talk to some amazing people like Tiffany, who do some really good stuff. We just make up stories. She actually is doing good things and putting great things out in the world. So please, please, please go check out Tiffany Mosher. And Scott Curtis, Jeff Dwoskin, Mick Manhattan, Tanya Sheck, Sarah Tkachuk, all of Dylan's family. Elise, you are a beautiful human being. Congratulations and everything. You're perfect. Thank you. And everybody else, thank you. I've been Zach. He's been Dylan. You've been great. See you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Take it easy out there.
We'll be right back.